Joining me now is William Cohen. He served as Secretary of Defense under President Clinton. Secretary, it's good to have you here. President Biden said we will not waver in our support of Ukraine, no matter how long the war lasts. But that's a big question. We're months away from an election. Biden might not be reelected. Is time on Putin's side here?
Well, Putin has always based his actions upon that theory that we will weaken and walk away from Ukraine. There is a debate about how long we will be pro-Ukraine. It's not about Ukraine only. It's pro-freedom. How long will the American people and the American Congress and the president be for freedom? Because what's happening in Ukraine doesn't stay in Ukraine. And that's why so many Europeans are now, all the members of NATO are so galvanized and so consolidated in their support in defending Ukraine's pursuit of freedom and defending itself against the assault upon its country's freedom.
Right.
So I think that's how it should be phrased, not just pro-Ukraine, because it's pro-freedom for a country who demands to be free.
But in this case, we are talking about Ukraine, and you've seen the polls recently, as I'm sure I have, and they are showing that there are, especially among Republicans, registered Republicans in this country, there's declining support for continuing to fund this war in Ukraine. In that respect, I mean, pledging will be here forever, as long as it takes, and intimating it could be years before this war is over. Is public support there as well, is what I'm asking?
It depends upon presidential leadership. If the president makes the case that Ukraine's freedom and defense of freedom is in our interests, then the American people will be there. But the notion that somehow it's happening over in Europe and what takes place in Europe will not affect us is simply wrong. So you have an ex or former president saying you're going to end this insanity. Well, of course, put a call into Putin, say, end the insanity, get out, and that will end it. But until that happens, I think it's incumbent upon the president, whoever that is, to make the case to the American people and to the NATO countries. Your freedom is at stake if Ukraine loses this war.
President Biden also said today that the war could only end on, quote, just terms. What does that mean exactly?
It means that the Russians have to get out of a country that they've intruded upon.
All
they
of
have
it.
waged all of it. The notion that we're going to simply recognize what they've taken and they can keep it, but they have to get out of all of it. And they can go back and talk about whether the people in Crimea or elsewhere want to vote on some annexation that's legitimate and fair and free. That's one thing. But the notion that President Putin, having invaded a foreign country, an independent country, should keep his spoils, I don't think it's acceptable.
Meantime, former General Robert Abrams said yesterday on ABC News that he thinks Yevgeny Prigozhin, who led the brief Wagner group mutiny in Russia, is either dead or in prison. Could he be right?
Well, he could be right. Number one, we don't know if Prigozhin ever entered the Kremlin, but if he entered, we haven't seen him come out. So anything is possible in terms of dealing with Putin. He's made it clear that anybody who betrays him is a traitor, and all those who have taken him on legitimately have been either poisoned or imprisoned or gunned down or falling out of hotels and hospitals. So it's entirely possible that he is, but I would say that Mr. Prigozhin has to show up at some point in time or else the rumors are going to continue to spread. He's no longer alive.
And just what do you think of Putin's hold on power right now? I mean, I don't know which one is more of a show of strength, allowing Prigozhin to come meet with him for 3 hours and live and maybe even continue to lead the Wagner group in some way, or killing him or in prison or throwing him in prison where nobody will ever see or hear from him again.
Well, that's a decision that President Putin obviously has calculated. Prigozhin has a lot of support in Russia, in Russian society. There are those who, one of the top people who now has been missing, Surovikin, who's also, quote, resting. We don't know whether he's resting in Lubyanka, the former KGB cell, or whether he's dead. So there's a lot here to say whether Prigozhin fades from the scene, if he is missing for so many months, that may be the case. But Putin has to take into account there are people who support Prigozhin and not Putin.
The readers of tea leaves in Russia are busy.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.